welcome, guys. We're back for The Last of Us, episode 4 this time. This episode came out really fast. I didn't think it would. Woo! All right, I'm not as sick anymore as I was in my last recordings that are gonna come out. I don't know when this is coming out. But that's good. I can be more articulate. I was in a weird fever haze while doing those recordings. Whoa, it was nuts. Think some of the I probably shouldn't have done those recordings when I was sick, but fuck it, I wanted to get them out there because I thought it would be funny, and yes, it was. It was kind of funny. Now we can get into before I get into this episode. I want to talk just about a little bit about episode 3. I sort of made fun of a lot of things in episode 3. I just wanted to address my overall feelings about it. I didn't think that like it came across. I didn't think anybody really understood what I was trying to say. Let me just get into it. I really like episode 3. I really like it. My one issue with it is that episode 3 is so self-contained that it doesn't really have any bearing on the plot of the story. Not really, in essence. Now, that's okay because the episode itself is really, really good. I really like that episode. There's like genuine human pathos in that episode 3, between like Bill and Frank. Was really good. Amazing dialogue in that episode as well. Just getting to know these characters, uh, and the really good characterization of things that we've known from the game, done in a different way that works for the show. Now, I understanding that episode 3 is almost filler, which it kind of is. It works for the way that the show is heading and how they're restructuring the plot of The Last of Us. Because there were scenes in the episodes, in the past episodes, in this one as well, where it's like one for one the game. They just like now the situations are a little different tonally. It's also a little different how the actors are saying them, but it's still one for one. And that's really great. Yeah, and they're doing it. They're restructuring it just slightly differently from how the game is, but it's working. So as long as as it's consistent and the dialogue's working with the scenes, I have no problems. I have no issues. So episode 3 is very, very good. I'm a little disappointed that we didn't get any like Ellie Bill scenes. I would have liked to see that, but it's just the new structuring of this show, and they're doing a really good job. And this is another like good episode as well. Episode 4, even though it's like slightly shorter, the pacing in episode 3 is a sort of, I wouldn't say it's like all over the place, but it makes sense because it's a self-contained episode. How there was like 3 different time skips in episode 3, right? So in this one, it's a much shorter episode, but everything's more streamlined and slightly more easier to follow. So we'll get into this episode now. Just again, I really like episode 3. There's some things that are disappointing, but that's all right. So in this episode, we come back where we left off. Ellie and Joel, they're just on their way on their journey with Bill's supplies, essentially going to Wyoming to find Tommy and try and find the Fireflies to get Ellie. We know the mission. We have the mission, and they're going to do it. We get a lot. So the first like 20 minutes of this episode, very heavily focused on, and this is really important actually, Joel and Ellie's relationship together, what they do together. Joel's really feeling out like Ellie's personality, and it's the chemistry is finally starting to build. We didn't get to see that in the last episode because they weren't really in the last episode. So it's there's been some like a few days together. We're finally like starting to understand who these people are, how they work off with each other. Like Ellie is sort of a jokester now. She's being more herself. How I see her from the game anyway. Before Ellie came off like really hostile, and the acting was a bit ugh, but it made sense for the show. Now they're really like trying to try hard on like making these characters like each other. Because Joel this entire time has been seeing Ellie. She's not his family yet. She is his cargo, but Ellie is someone that Joel has to protect. This relates to how Bill's note in episode 3 to Joel was like, we do things for other people, and that creates purpose in our lives. that created purpose in my life. Now you have to do the same. Obviously, we're talking about Tess, but Bill didn't know that Tess died. So now this is, it's all coming back full circle. Ellie's gonna be the one that Joel protects. We all know this. Even if you don't have to, know what happened at the game to know what's gonna happen to their relationship, right? This is like super easy stuff. But I like this aspect of the episode. We're finally getting more, introspection about, what these characters are feeling, sort of. Ellie's more of the jokester. Joel's the very scowly, mumbly. He's sort of a Batman, I would say. He's scowly and mumbly, but he has a softer side with kids because he's nice and he likes Ellie. It's fun. It's fun for Joel to have someone that he can bounce off of. Other than just being this monster that has to kill people all the time. Joel's a nice person. Where he was a nice person before the breakdown, right? It's not his fault that the outbreak happened and all this horrible shit, happened to him and his family. So we're getting that's like, so we just get good dialogue really throughout these scenes. I can't stress how much the dialogue is really good. If we can go into the acting at some certain points, Joel loses his accent, Pedro Pascal. Just some, like, you can hear it. You can just hear Pedro's like accent push through the hard Southern Texas that he's trying to pull off. It's like, ew, I heard that, Pedro. I heard that, you motherfucker. Whatever country of origin you're from, it's not Texan. That's sure not what it is. But it's funny. I don't mind because Pedro's a really good actor. Bella Ramsey. Um, she acting wise, I haven't really spoken about it throughout all these episodes. I've been sort of wishy washy about her as Ellie. As far as I can tell, though, from this point now in this episode, I think she's doing really good. I think she is. There are a few scenes where maybe I don't know if it's the dialogue or if it's Bella specifically. I'm thinking it's maybe Bella herself specifically, not the dialogue, because for these last 4 episodes, the dialogue has been really good and it still is really good. I've been saying it all throughout these reviews. There's a lot of like good dialogue scene, and they pull from the games literally one for one. So now the way the actors say them, I said it before. It's totally different. Structurally, it's done a little bit different too, but it's still the same dialogue. So it's really how these characters are interacting. It's really good. So I'm thinking I like Bella playing Ellie. She's doing a good job. Maybe it could be done a little better. There's maybe something missing from these like scenes that are like keeping them from being like perfect. I don't know what's missing. So what I still it's frustrating me just like very slightly. I would like to know. But I like these scenes. So we get a lot of scenes of them just fucking around, right, on their way to Wyoming. They basically stop for the night after driving for a long time. They go to the high place. They eat some of Bill's food. Talking. This is important for this episode because we're getting into more of like infected aren't really around a lot. It's more so they're more so packed in like the cities or yeah, the cities, more urban areas, not like these rural areas where there's nothing around. Their problem here is raiders or hunters or yeah, raiders, hunters, same thing. People. People are their issue. Ellie doesn't technically understand this because she hasn't really been out of the Fedra QZ place very often, Joel has to essentially tell her we can't have fires, obviously. It's not for the infected. They're too stupid. It's for people that might come. She's like, what are they going to rob us? And Joel's like, well, they're going to do a whole lot more than just rob us, Ellie. Particularly kill us, rape us, anything they could possibly do. Now he doesn't say that specifically. Obviously, that's the intention. Ellie understands, and as she should after living in this, apocalyptic world for so long. And Joel basically spends this night not sleeping, looking out for Ellie and himself, watching anything in the night with his gun. Very, these are standard things that a survivor like him would have to go through probably every night back when this outbreak stuff was even starting, right? Because this is just par for the course. You have to be out here. You can't. You gotta sleep with one eye open, basically. Otherwise, you're dead, and you don't want to die. So that's that. Essentially, essentially that. Now, this is where the we're gonna get into like situations where the show is like heading into like this is game territory where they're just talking again. They're doing a really nice dialogue scene until they get to like their destination. Now, where they end up is Kansas City. They're at a roadblock in Kansas City. Now, in the game, they're supposed to be at Pittsburgh, I believe, where all this stuff happens. And I was actually worried. I said this, I think, in my episode 1 review or episode 2 review. How would they do these scenes? The mechanical fight scenes, right? Because in the game, if you're a game player, you just get thrown into these situations where you fight like 20 nameless enemies, right? And it's like you're going through those obstacles silently, either killing people or shooting them with whatever supplies you found in the section before of the game to get to to kill these people, to get to your objective in the game. Now, this is slightly different. It's on a so what they're doing here is, and I think this is a smart choice actually. And it's working really well, totally, along with like mechanically. These scenes packed, very small, so they're not Joel. Because think about it realistically, right? Like in the game, Joel has to fight like 20 dudes at once. In this, he doesn't have to. That would be extremely difficult and very unrealistic. Just Joel himself fighting 20 dudes silently and killing them all silently or loudly with his rifle or his gun. It's unrealistic. So I like the scale of this where Joel and Ellie, right? They can't go a certain way into the highway of Kansas here. So they're trying to find another back road where this is basically a trap laid out by these people. And they pass by a Fedra building and they're all gone. They're all missing. They don't know where anyone is. This is going to tie later into the end of the episode where we find out where the Fedra guys are. Basically, they're all gone. It doesn't matter. So this is their Fedra outpost. It's abandoned, basically, which is where they find the trap of these people. And they get attacked. And now, they only get attacked by, like, 3 guys. That's pretty small. But you can see here, getting attacked by 3 people, and Joel has to do, like, all this work. And it's incredibly difficult. So I'm okay with like the smaller scale, and it can be like more realistic where like they're in a firefight with like 3 guys. Joel has to do whatever he has to do to kill them and fight them as smartly and as best as he can, and he does that here. He does a good thing. He gets Ellie out of the way. Go into that hole. Don't come out until I say so. If I don't say so, don't come out at all, obviously. And he does a good job protecting her. He kills 2 people pretty easily, as best he could. It's obviously a very incredibly tense situation. Ellie is very scared and this is a good scene too. So Ellie's very scared in this scene, trying to get into this hole. See, my nose is starting to act up again. I can feel it. I'm I'm not totally not sick. All right. Sorry about the tangent. Joel's doing a very incredible job here, keeping Ellie safe, doing what he can. Until 2 people, very specifically, it's, these guys are, shouting profanities at him. Ellie's very scared. Joel takes his time getting through with them. He does it. Now, this is where he lets his guard down, opening up his gun, trying to cock his gun. Where another guy just comes out of nowhere. Joel gets overpowered. I can see how Joel would get overpowered, by the way. I think this is okay. Joel's getting overpowered by Joel's old, again, remind you. He mentions it in this episode. He's 56. Now, that's very old. He's dealing with a very young guy here. So him being overpowered, when he's, like, sort of off guard, he didn't know that this guy would come up behind him and just start, like, get on. No, he got on top of him now. He's going to strangle him. That's understandable. All right, this is where Ellie comes in. We all pretty much predicted that this sort of thing would happen. Ellie has the gun. We knew she had the gun. Joel doesn't. Ellie's going to use the gun to save Joel. Now, in the game, this sort of thing happens slightly differently than, what's happening in the show. But all this makes sense and it is consistent. Bella Ramsey here doing a great job acting. I mean, and actually, this scene later when she cries, she has a tear where she basically shoots and kills this man. We get a nice tense scene here. Joel's like, "What? You have a gun? Where'd that come from?" This guy starts crying for his mom, and starts crying to them like, "Please don't kill me." Now understandable. Ellie does not kill this man. She just saves Joel from being killed. Joel does the final death toll on this guy, and it's pretty gnarly how he does it. He essentially tells Ellie to like run away. Give me the gun too, by the way. Just go over there. I'm gonna kill this guy. He doesn't say it. Ellie just automatically understands, and she is very sad about like what happened. Joel doesn't want Ellie. Joel still sees Ellie as like an innocent child. He doesn't know that she's not as innocent as he thinks she is. Now, this is sort of half true and sort of half wrong. Ellie is definitely innocent. Maybe not, but just how innocent is she after growing up in this apocalypse? Joel is maybe a little naive about that, about like Ellie shouldn't be seeing this, but he's lived in a different time, so he he thinks differently than other people, younger people would think, right? So we got a very nice emotional scene here. Ellie completely understands what Joel's gonna do. He is not gonna waste the bullets. She's gonna run. She hears him killing her with the knife, and she has a nice tear here going down her face. This is what I'm saying. Like in this scene, Bella Ramsey's doing a really good job. Survivor's guilt. With this whole introspection about Ellie's character. She's obviously sad about what's happening here. It's a very emotional scene. She basically just killed this man, but Joel's gonna finish it for her because he doesn't want her to do it herself because she's not really there yet to do that. But this is an incredibly emotional scene. I love this scene. It's really good. It was tense. It was heartbreaking in some circumstances, and I loved it. It was very good. That's this is where her bad acting sort of comes in. I couldn't tell whether it was like she was trying to act nervous in the scene or if it was just weirdly. I'm gonna I'm gonna assume it was like in this pieces of dialogue. She's like, "I'm okay, Joel. I'm okay. Yep, we're gonna go do this. Yep, yep." I'm thinking it was just she was trying to act nervous after like what happened, the events that just happened. Joel is they don't get right into talking about what's happening. There are more people looking for them. And so they're trying to escape that building. They got to get out of there, obviously, and they can't be around. They don't know how many people are really after them. They don't know like how what's the big community is. So before we get there, we got our new character here. Now this new character is not in the game. It's I was reading some articles. It's apparently something that Neil wanted to implement into the game, but couldn't. So they're gonna do it in the show. This is like Neil's doing a lot of like retconning, from the first game, adding new things. But he's adding them. He's doing it good. I don't know what happened. How did The Last of Us 2 happen, right? What the fuck happened there? But he's making the show good. He's like adding new elements to it that aren't like horrible and that make sense. They're consistent. I, what happened with The Last of Us 2, right? That maybe we shouldn't even go there. I just find it strange how he was a part of that, and that game was absolutely horrendous and horrible in every way. Not every way, but the story. But then he's like directing episodes here, and he's like helping with the writing and adding new characters, and it's being done very well. So what happened in that time frame, Neil? Did you learn? He must have learned his lesson or something. I don't want to fully say that, but so far these episodes are really good. Maybe they're not perfect, but they're really good. And I know he's been part of the writing team for the show. So what is it? Maybe it's not all him. I want to know. These are like questions I want to know. That we're probably not gonna find out for a very long time. Anyway, we get introduced to our new character Kathleen here. She is not part of Fedra, so it's explained that uh, it's not like it's not overtly explained. It's implied that the people overtook the Fedra system here, the government, and they're in charge, and they're looking for people. They're looking for our boy Henry and Sam. Now, she is not in the game, so they're sort of tying in plot lines from different sections of the game to right now, and which is probably why this episode is a lot shorter. They're like speeding up some things and like combining some things. Now they're doing it again. They're doing it in a way it makes sense for the story. So I'm happy with it. We're finally getting our boy Henry and Sam. They come at the last part of the episode. And those people, they have their own problems. They're looking for people. They're doing things. They now this is where they just are. So Kathleen here is most likely the leader. She's seen as like a heroic role. Now this guy's a doctor. They have some sort of history that they're working out. We don't get a lot. We don't get like super heavy into like what their relationship is, but at the end of it, we can just say she kills him, even though they known each other for a long time. But that's the end of that story. We don't need to like go super heavy into like what this means. We know she has the resolve to like kill people that she knows and loves. Basically, is what that scene implies. Anyway, their soldiers find out that um, their guys are dead. They think it's Henry and Sam. They think it's them, or they think they called someone to help them. Now they don't know for a fact that it's Joel and Ellie. This is like these people. They're not bad people per se. Just like Joel isn't a bad person, even though Joel told Ellie that he's done stuff like those guys did to them just now before they killed them to other innocent people. There are no innocent people in this world anymore. Everyone's just trying to live. It's all about just trying to live. Morals are, how would you say it? Morals are bendable, breakable. You can bend them and break them. Adaptable morals, right? The principles aren't as strong as they could be. Before the outbreak, people do what they can to survive, and that's how the world works now. So so Kathleen and her people, they're going to search for these guys while also searching for Joel and Ellie. So they want Henry and Sam, and they want Joel and Ellie. But these guys, they have problems here. Massive issues. They have what's going to be seen as probably we're going to get into the bloaters from the game. The bloaters are basically these giant infected with their bloaters, literally. You know how like zombie games, they always give, if you've seen Left 4 Dead or Dead Island, they got like your special mutated zombies. Bloaters are they're blind as well as the clickers, but they're just fucking gigantic and bloating with like spores essentially. But they might, so mechanically they might change it actually how like the bloaters look, because the spores aren't around anymore. So maybe who knows what they're gonna do there. I'm actually interested to know. So essentially, Kathleen sends her goons out to go find Joel and Ellie, and they don't know it's Joel and Ellie, but they want them. They want to get Henry as well. This is where we get some nice scenes. Joel's like, "Where do you get the gun?" He stole it from Bill, obviously. He shouldn't have done that. He also is very sad about killing people in front of her. So their relationship is really starting to build now. They're building trust between themselves. And this is where the scene where like, all right, Ellie, you help me. I'm gonna let you use the gun. I'm gonna let you use it. I'm gonna show you how to use it properly too. This is where he also asks her. We also like revelations that Ellie's not super innocent. That she's killed someone else. She doesn't tell him who she's killed though, and that's like sort of half right, sort of half wrong. I wonder if like the show is gonna introduce that at all again, because as far as I remember from the game, Ellie did not kill anyone at this point except for her friend who was infected that she liked. If I'm remembering it correctly, I might not be remembering that correctly. This could be I could be wrong. I gotta play the game again in order to really. It was like part of a DLC of the first game. I'm not remembering it correctly. It's been so long. I need to. I'm gonna check that out later, I guess. Anyway, it's for the scene now. If they're changing that, that's fine. I don't care, because it's being done here. It's very emotional, totally, and I like it. And we get a nice scene where Joel basically teaches her how to use the gun. He's like, okay, Ellie, you're gonna have a gun now. You're not gonna keep it with you. You're gonna keep it in your pack, but you can use it to help me when you need to. Obviously, Ellie does not do that. Goes behind Joel's back again. Like, no, I'm gonna put it in my coat. Put it right here. Obviously, it's funny. He shows her how to properly use it, so we get a nice scene. They're gonna basically go away, and we got another scene here with our girl Kathleen. This is the Fort storage facility where they're looking for Henry and Sam. We don't know their deal. They know that they're out of food though, and they're probably on their tail. We don't know what Henry and Sam have done with these people. We don't know if they've killed anyone. We don't know if they've stolen anything. We don't know if they're even actually part of their community or have been part of their community for a long time. We can assume they probably have like stolen stuff, or killed people, and they're on the run. So we'll get into them, probably in the next episode, definitely when after because after the end scene here. Anyway, that's like the least of these guys' problems, because now our big beard man shows Kathleen this weird like thing here, where the ground is just like imploding up. Now we can this is where I assume this is the bloater, because we haven't seen a lot of infected in the show so far. Just really episode 2, honestly. And there hasn't been a whole lot of action. So I'm assuming next episode, and well, this episode in the beginning had some action, but just a little bit, right? Really, we're gonna get some like real heavy, scary action, I think, soon after like Joel and Ellie and Sam and Henry collide with these other survivors here, and what's gonna happen with this like sinkhole in the ground where it's just like moving and expanding. Like, holy shit, that's scary. They know what it is clearly, and they're afraid of it. See, I'm thinking they know it's some sort of kind of infection. I'm thinking it's the bloater. Maybe it's something else. Who knows? Maybe the show's gonna do something new. I doubt it though. I think they're gonna stay faithful to the game, because they've been doing a really good job doing that. Now they've changed some things, but overall it's been very faithful. So that's all right. They're worried about that. Their high priority right now. They're not going to tell anyone about that sinkhole. Their high priority is looking for Henry and Sam and getting rid of Jolie and Ellie. Jolie and Ellie, they've been breaking into places throughout the city, escaping Kathleen's guys and the group of people, and they just come up here and they're having still like funny conversations with each other. Really getting to know each other even more. They're asking each other more questions about their personal lives. Even Ellie sort of relents and tells Joel, "I don't really want to talk about that," even though Joel brought it up. Even though like in the previous episodes, Joel's like, "I don't want to know anything about you. You're cargo to me." It's the relationship is building. And we can see it happen in real time, and that's nice. Joel lays out like a plan here. He lays out like a sound trap basically, so no one sneaks up on them when they're sleeping. This doesn't work. Sam and Ellie, after they fall asleep, Sam and Henry have guns on them when they wake up, and this is basically the end of the episode. After they have like funny talks here, they're being held up by Sam and Henry, and that's it. That's the episode. Uh, it's a good episode. It's much faster than the last three, I would say. There's a lot of good dialogue in this episode. We're finally getting like nice character building relationships between Joel and Ellie. Our actors, they have a lot more chemistry than I thought they did before. And we're like moving along with the plot. Now the plot's sort of staggered in this city in Kansas here, where they're supposed to be in Wyoming to get the Tommy, and we'll see where that goes. They're gonna go with I don't want to spoil too heavily like what's gonna happen if they're being too faithful. But Sam and Henry will be allies. They won't be like they're people with like sort of the same circumstances, so they're gonna come together and like do stuff. I'm excited to see Sam and Henry. I like them from the game. They're another. There was no actually any flashback in this episode, which is interesting. Maybe we'll get one next episode of Sam and Henry. That would be pretty cool actually. Now, because Sam and Henry, they're another like sort of side characters. They actually get more screen time than Bill did in the game. So I'm interested how they're gonna handle that here. Are we gonna have like 2 episodes with them? Maybe 3 episodes. Oh fuck, maybe I just spoiled that. No, I didn't spoil all of it. I alluded to the fact that they died. I didn't say how they died. Okay. Now I like this. I think that's done. I'm done talking. Maybe I need some water in my nose. I'm still a little sick, so sorry, but I hope my interactiveness looking this episode scene by scene was better than the last one. Hope you guys enjoyed it. All right, I'm done. You guys have a nice day. See ya.